welcome to episode 60 of the Craft House Magic podcast. My name's Ellie and I'm coming to you from Norwich in Norfolk, and today is the 21st of February. Hope you've all had a lovely week since I last spoke to you, and if you're a new viewer, hello! Don't normally say that, do I? Just thought I'd go off-piste today. So we've got only a few projects to show you. I've been mainly focusing on one thing, which I'll show you in a minute. So I've got some knitting, a blast from the past, which is a quilting project, and basically just some information on my shop update, which will be tomorrow, Friday the 22nd of February at 7 o'clock PM in GMT time. Oh, I'll show you some things at the end, so if you don't want to see that, you can just stop watching. Right, so you can find me on Instagram, Ravelry, and my website is Craft House Magic, and my website is crafthousemagik.co.uk, where I sell lots of nitty accessories and bits and bobs over there. So we've got a couple of knit-alongs going on over in the Ravelry group, but if they're crochet as well, don't mind, absolutely included. I'm pretty laid back with my knit-alongs and craft-alongs, so just come and have a chat. It's just a bit of fun really, isn't it? So we've got the gnome along going on at the moment, where we can knit or crochet any gnome pattern. I've been a bit rubbish because I've been trying to get my Edinburgh Yarn Festival cardigan finished, so I haven't actually worked on that for a while, but there are a couple of people who have posted some lovely pictures over in the Ravelry group if you want to look there. We've also got the Edinburgh Yarn Festival knit along or crochet along or whatever fibre along that you'd want to share, anything that you're preparing for Edinburgh Yarn Festival, absolutely included. So we're chatting about what we're making, and I think we're all doing quite well at the moment, but to be honest, if you don't finish it, or even if you're not going for Edinburgh Yarn Festival, it's all about having fun and joining in. I forgot to say the gnome along is going to finish at the end of February, so make sure you get your entries over there. And also I've set up a thread about the meetup that we want to have in Edinburgh Yarn Festival, so we're having a sort of our own knit night. And it's going to be on the 22nd of March, which is the Friday, at 7 PM, and it'll be the Hampton by the Hilton, and it's Edinburgh West End, but I will put more of the details of the address over in the Ravelry group if you want to meet us, and we've already got a few people saying that they're going to come and meet us there. A couple of people have put it in the Edinburgh Yarn Festival knit along, but it doesn't matter. We've got, I think there's probably about 10-15 people already coming, so yay, it's going to be fun. Right, so I haven't got many projects to show you because I've been to visit a couple of friends. So I went to stay with lovely Caroline, who's Caroline Love to Sew, and she lives in Leicester, so we went over for the weekend, me and Adam. And we had a great time, and we went for walks and all sorts of lovely things. One of the days we went out and met Helen, who's Flora Honeypot, and we had such a brilliant lunch. I will pop a couple of pictures and a little tiny clip of a video that we took, or Helen took, at the very end. It was just so much fun. Helen was trying to take a photo of us, and me and Caroline were doing poses, and we didn't realise she was taking a video. So I'm going to show you how crazy we are at the end of this episode. So let's get on to the good stuff. So I've basically been a monogamous knitter on my cardigan. Last time I'd finished, I think I'd just done the increases, which is about here. So I did a yoke pattern and then some increases on my cherry blossom. And then I split off for the body, and then I went completely different from the pattern. So I'm going to tell you a bit about that in a minute, but you can see that I'm almost down to the bottom of my cardigan, so I'm getting there. I might actually finish it for Edinburgh Yarn Festival. All I've got to do is, let me find my little marker. There we go. There's a marker here, and I know that I've got to do 2.5 inches of plain knit from this marker. So I've probably done about 1 inch there. So I've got to do another 1.5 inches. Oh dear, I've just dropped my stitches. It's alright, I've picked them up. I've been knitting on this morning, so I didn't put it back in my circular needle case. And hence the stitches can fall off at any time. So I've got to knit 2.5 inches from this point. I've just plain knit, and then I'm going to go on to the ribbing, so I'm nearly there. I think I'm going to do about 1 inch of ribbing. So I reckon I may finish this tonight. I don't know. We'll see. But that is coming along really nicely. So I'm going to tell you a bit about how I did my shaping on the body. Please excuse these pieces of thread. They're a provisional cast on. I need to pick those up afterwards. So you can see how I've split off the sleeves from the body, and I've got those on waste yarn ready to pick up in a bit when I finish the body bit. And then I cast on some stitches underneath the arms and joined in the round, and kept knitting round and round for 3 rows, and then I decided I needed to do some short row shaping for my boobies. So I've done some short row shaping, and if you can see right this side, you can see where there's... So I did 3 rows around all of the body, and then I started doing these short rows that just went to the front. So I went to the halfway point on this side, I wrapped, turned, knit to the halfway point on this side, so I'm just knitting the front of the cardigan, and then I went back all the way to this side to 1 stitch before the wrap, and then did another wrap and turn, went the other way and did the same 1 stitch before the wrap, and then kept going backwards and forwards 1 stitch before the wrap, until I made a wedge. So I ended up with it sort of that shape at extra, with all the stitches on the needles, and then I went round and just started knitting on around the whole of the cardigan again. And as I was picking up, as I came to a wrapped stitch, I picked up the wrap and knitted it with the stitch that it was wrapped around, and then I've ended up with an extra space around the bust. I will pop a picture here that I put on Instagram of me trying it on, so you can see that there's a little bit more room around the bust area. So I chose the size to knit the yoke pattern according to my upper bust measurement, which is basically just around the top here, under my armpits and around the back, and that gives you my sort of chest measurement so that I get the fit right all the way around my neck. And then adding these short rows has given me a bit more extra room for the bust area. So in order to determine the length of the short rows for my bust area, what I did is I tied a ribbon around my waist, and then I measured from the top of my shoulders down to the ribbon at the front, and then the same at the back. And the difference in inches between the front and the back panel gives you the measurement that you need to do your short rows for. So I kept going until I reached 3.25 inches for the short rows, and then I just started knitting in the round again. I will put some links down below to some tutorials that will help you fitting in the bust area and things for garments with knitting. I did find a nice article on Interweave website, which I'll link down below. I also watched a Craftsy class as well, which I'll leave a link for down below. I think it's called Blueprint now. And then after the short rows I did for the bust area, I didn't actually do any shaping because obviously that extra room for the bust area makes it larger for a short while, and then it'll go back in to the measurement obviously I'd started up before I did the bust shaping. And then I actually knitted down all the way down to my waist, which was about 10 inches from the underarm. So I knitted 10 inches from the underarm, and then I started doing some more increases for the hip area. So I followed the pattern where they suggested you either increase or decrease at the hips and waist there to the number of stitches that I thought would be appropriate for my hips. So I measured my hips. I think it was like 52 inches, which is a bit embarrassing, but never mind. And then I decided that I'd probably knit in about 50 inches so that I'd got a little bit of negative ease. And I calculated how many stitches that I needed to get up to, and then I decided to do increases on every other row for 8 rows, and then carry on a little bit straight so that it goes nicely over my hips. I'm just trying to think about trying to shape it over my hips as best as I can. And at this point I'm just knitting straight down until I get to the ribbing, and then I'm just going to knit that straight with the same number of stitches as well, just to give me plenty of room. I'm going to do 1 by 1 twisted rib, and I'm going to stick to the same needle size so that it doesn't pull in at the bottom. So there we go. So I was really hoping that I'd get the whole body done by this episode, but unfortunately I didn't quite get there, but I'm nearly there. And you can see, if those of you who haven't seen the cherry blossom cardigan before, this is knitted in the round and it looks like a jumper, and then I'm going to steek it up the front afterwards. So that's going to be lovely, hopefully. It seems to fit nicely on the yoke area, and so far the bust and the waist seems to fit okay, so I'm hoping that when I try it on, when I finish the rest of the body, it'll be lovely. I've ended up knitting it 2 inches longer than the pattern suggests, just because I wanted it to cover my bum a little bit more. Well, hopefully that'll be enough, because it's not a superwash wool, I'm thinking it won't stretch so much, because I'm normally knitting lots of things in superwash wool. So I don't think that that'll be too long, hopefully not anyway. But there we go. These provisional cast on ends are really making it look a bit messy, but once I sort that out and finish it off, hopefully that'll look nice. I like the fact that the colour work is just at the top area here, and it's not too much, it's just a nice delicate bit of colour work. So there we go, that's my main project I've been working on this week, and I haven't even touched my northeasterly blanket because there's lots of sort of mindless knitting round and round. I can just knit that all the time, even in the car or whatever, nice and easy knit. So, because that's the only thing I've been working on this week, I thought I'd pick up a blast from the past. So I was having a look in my cupboard. I was just seeing all the different sort of quilted pieces that I'd made, and I found this. So it's a piece that's made out of calico and cream fabrics. If you look a little bit closer, you can see that it's made with folded pieces of fabric, and these panels were actually from a Jenny Rayment pattern, but I'm afraid I can't remember which book it was in, but she does lots of this sort of folded patchwork, which looks lovely in 3D, and there's bits where you can put little extra bits of fabric there to make it sort of stand out. And I did 4 of these ones that look like sort of funnel tulips at the outside, and then I did 4 of these ones like a pinwheel sort of shape, top down, left and right, and in the centre I've done a cathedral window, and I think this is sort of a more traditional way of doing it, where you sort of twist the fabric. But it's a little while since I've done it, so I'm not very good at explaining how I made it exactly, but I made it so that it didn't sort of, it's not too in your face, with some sort of nice creamy tones. And I used to have it in our old house that we lived in, and I took it down because I thought it was too sort of calico-y, but do you know, I quite like it. I think I might find somewhere in the house for it now. It just goes to show you should keep hold of these quilty things that you make over the years, and then bring it out when you're fed up of seeing the ones that you've had up there for ages. So there we are, that's my quilted project for this week from my blast from the past. And I've just got one section left, which is shop update. So this week I've been stocking up on my DPN cases and scissor cases, and I've got a few different ones to show you. I've got a number of heart ones. I've got this one, and then they've got free motion stitching around the edge, if you can see that. I've got some hearts, different fabric, and a little sort of different tones. And then lastly I've got a blue heart, and then I've got some various different butterflies in different fabrics. I've got like a pink, a vintage print, and a couple of blue ones there. And then I've got, it's a sort of, it looks like a batik fabric, but it isn't, it's printed. But it's a lovely sort of tones of blue, and then I've done some tealy coloured fabric for the lining there. And finally I've got a couple of scissor case designs that I've got. So you can either purchase the case on its own, or it comes as a kit with some little bulb pins, a pair of scissors and a little needle there. And it's a size 18 John James one, which I find ideal to sew in the ends for most of my 4-ply projects. And that folds over, and just tuck the bulb pins in, folds over and does the button up on, and that keep your scissors nice and safe so that they don't get stuck in your knitting. And I've also got a blue one as well with the same tealy lining that comes with the and the same print of the blue DPN case. So there we go. I'm hoping to do some little sets really, so that you've got all the pieces to match, but I've been stocking up on my DPN cases and scissor cases this week. I'm hopefully going to get some more of my circular needle cases in next week's update, and so that the shop will be nice and full. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to stick around for the little photo clips, a video clip at the end of me, Caroline and Helen. And I hope you all have a lovely week till next week. Sorry it's a bit of a shorter one this week. I want to finish recording my little tutorial on how to sew ribbon onto the inside of a knitted cardigan. Basically it's just the way I'm kind of working it out, and I'll let you know how I get on. I'm hoping to get that tutorial published on Sunday so that you've got a couple of days to watch this before that comes out. And then I shall see you next week in the next update. So thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely crafty week until next time. Bye!
Hang on a minute, I'm going to look like I'm actually knitting.
Yeah, let's put the needle in.
Tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Are you ready? What are you doing?
I don't know, what face are we doing?
Go on, work it, work it.